Wild.
An email. Kevin and Gordon. Boston,
Okay.
please. In 22, someone needs to get Valentin Tro to convince Kipchoge crowning achievement to win the granddaddy of all the world marathon majors. He'll be only the second man to win both the Olympics and the Boston Marathon. I know Eliud would like to hear. It'll be a beautiful race with all the spectators in the world watching post-COVID. If he wants to inspire people even more, Boston is a place to do it. It would add to his legacy as opposed to more London and Berlin titles. And about that retirement, Formula One racing, he thinks he's a fan. And he says, full disclosure, he's spent nearly all my adult life in the Boston area. So obviously I'm very biased. That is Marty from Massachusetts. What do you think? Avid Kipchoge watcher. If you wrote books and didn't spend all your time playing tennis now and putting on cool headbands, you'd probably be working on a biography about the man himself. What do you think he does in his post-Olympic race schedule?
Yeah, I was just full disclosure. I was just wearing my Kipchoge shirt before I changed into a fresh one for this episode. The thing with Kipchoge is he's, as we've seen outside of major championships and London, and he aligns himself with events that are sponsored by brands he represents. Now, I don't know if that's going to continue forever, but we look at him running. Where was this? What marathon did he run last month? I'm sorry.
This was the NN Mission Marathon on an airport.
Okay.
Tarmac.
Okay. What this was in the Netherlands? What city was this in?
It was initially in Hamburg and then in the Netherlands.
Okay. It doesn't matter. You said it there. In. I mean, is an in event, right? And then we think back to 150. His first sub 2 event, a Nike event. His second sub 2 event, that random company that he aligned himself with. Boston is an Adidas event. The times he's been in the U.S. to run a marathon has been in Chicago, a Nike event. I don't see this guy. He just is very keyed in with, he's loyal to his brands, right? He's got a very valuable name. Yes, would I love for him to come to Boston? Of course. I don't think at this career, when he's choosing his marathons very, very wisely, knowing that he doesn't have a dozen of them likely left, I don't think he's coming over for a big event of which is going to generate a ton of publicity for the Boston Marathon, is going to then in turn generate a ton of publicity for Adidas. No, I don't think that's happening. I think he's too loyal of a Nike employee to do something like that.
If that's the case, that'd be a big time bummer, because I don't look at these races as this is a Nike race, or this is an ASICS race, or this is an Adidas race. It's the Boston Marathon, it's the New York Marathon, it's Chicago.
Think about his history.
London Marathon.
Think about his history.
Yeah.
The part, it's not just.
Well, you sign a contract.
Yes.
You sign a contract with London or Berlin or whatever, and it's not just a 1-year contract, right? There are multiple year contracts. And then if you're the defending champion, the financial incentive is for you to come back. So there's that element as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. That's just my take. He's just very, just following him on social media, he's not just a shill, but there is a brand strategy that's very apparent with Eliud Kipchoge. And you're right. He's stayed loyal also to, it's not that he's, I don't know this. I don't think he has a BMW deal, and that's I think the title sponsor, Berlin. So I don't, it's not just that he's focused on selling ads, but he's a brand. He's very aware of that. I mean, the guy's been selling NFTs, for goodness sakes. I don't think he needs the money, but he's out there catching up on all the trends. He's very 21st century aware of what his image does in the world. I just think you're right that that there are other things at play in his mind than just what's going to be the best for Eliud Kipchoge and his sponsors. But I just don't see Adidas's biggest major marathon, or maybe it's their only, I can't remember, but I don't see it happening for him, especially when you consider how sparingly he's come to the U.S.
I'm getting some Bolt never went to pre vibes as well from this. It just, And again, that's a Nike meet. That's more closely associated with the brand than I think a lot of these marathons are. Maybe I could be wrong,
Mhm.
but that's a Nike production from head to toe. And we know the Nike athletes,
Mhm.
basically you're required to be there unless you provide like a written doctor's note, right? You need an excuse. They send Nike employees out there. And I always thought it would have been cool if Bolt, the biggest figure in track and field of this generation, was able to run at Hayward Field. I always thought that would have been
Yeah.
a cool image, right? To just so all you could say all the greats at some point in their career passed through Hayward. Now he got to run the Penn relays, which was cool. He ran in New York, so it's not like he never ran in the United States, but Hayward's different. Hayward Field in the Prefontaine Classic is different, and it would have been a cool historical point for just to have that photograph of him lined up in those starting blocks. What would you want Kipchoge to do though? Put all the brand stuff aside. What would you like to see him run?
Yeah. Yeah, New York or Boston, of course. I mean, the two most iconic, the two technical courses. I mean, probably Boston. If I say all that, I just don't see it happening. But Boston is our most famous marathon.
Mhm.
So I would certainly pick that. He obviously doesn't need that. We talk about he needs this on his resume too. No, we're just getting incredibly greedy here. It would be fun to see him in that type of a race. It would be fun on a good weather day with
Yeah.
a tailwind to see. I know he's older now, but how fast he could go. Uh, yeah, it would be cool to see him in Boston. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm not going to hold out hope for it, but yeah, I think that's the simple pick, and New York's a distant, but still in second place there for me.
Mhm. I want to see him do both of them. Just check off the boxes. Just again adds to the resume. Just kind of cool. 1:59:40.
Mm-hmm.
He's run the fastest time ever. He's run the world record. He has a world record. He's got all the London. But it'd be cool to say, I got London, I got Berlin, I got Chicago, I got Boston, I got New York, I got the Olympics. Okay, and maybe
Oh
he'll get the
God,
World Championships, and maybe he'll get Tokyo too. But that like core six of the Olympics plus those five majors
yeah,
is
the World
is
Championships.
just yeah. Well, I don't know. Like
The world.
it's called a major.
That'd be like
Yeah.
Mike
Well, in
Trout,
the
like
Tokyo's.
being like, "Hey, I need to go back to the minor leagues for a season. I want to get their home run record as well. So just send me back to the minors, and then I'll come back up next year." No, I don't think he'll do the World Championships.
Well,
But in any case, yeah,
we were talking about the Grand Slam before, and technically those are in the marathon majors. But if you're asking me
oh yeah,
Tokyo versus
technically,
Boston, it's not Tokyo versus Boston. It's not close. World Championships versus New York, it's not close. I'd rather see him in those
yeah,
Boston and New York type races, and it just tests. Even if the field's not that hard, it just tests a different style of racing, which would be fun to see him thrive in. And I think it'd be kind
oh
of
yeah,
cool because
yeah,
much in the way, not to compare the two athletes, but Lyndon moving up to the 50K just to try something different is and a new challenge, right? Like, and there's a
yeah.
chance. I mean, Kipchoge could break the New York course record. So how cool would that be to collect more course
Mm-hmm.
records? It's difficult to think that he's going to run a 1:59:39 again, or he's going to run a faster, world record or sanctioned world record. But maybe he can run a 204 high in New York. Boston's tough because of the wind that year and the favorable
Yeah,
conditions. So he'd have to run sub 203 essentially to get that course record. But how cool would it be to have all those course records, right? That would be something that, again, his resume is ridiculous already. So saying add into the resume,
yeah,
he's competing against somebody 5 generations down the road. But it is, you just like look at it and you're like, oh, it'd be cool if you could just check off those. There's only a couple boxes. Just do those other ones. Just get all
yeah.
those
We're
course
getting
records.
greedy though. We're getting a little greedy. I did Kipchoge think when he ran 1:59, and then he broke. He has the regular world record, Olympic champion, and had that
Mm-hmm.
record of unbeaten for so many. He'd be like, yeah, there's going to be these two American dudes that are going to be like, it'd be cool if he won Boston to he'd be like, God damn it. I've done everything I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but what is he? And I've said this for a couple of years now, and he's lowered his times there, so he's run really well. But it's like, or not a couple of years, at least a year. Like, what does he get out of going to London and running 2:04:56? Gets a bunch of money and gets another win, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That versus
I think he just
a
enjoys
Boston.
it. I think he enjoys. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He enjoys his stay at the Savoy or wherever he's at. I don't know. He just
if he runs a 2:07 but wins in Boston, to me that at least adds something new versus a faster time, even if it's in London, right? Because it's a different course. Running fans would understand that.